So the case that I will be discussing is Snyder v. Phelps, Snyder being the plaintiff and Phelps being the defendant. The full case name would be Albert Snyder v. Fred W. Phelps Sr. And the reason for this case is that Snyder sued Phelps for the intentional emotional distress caused by Phelps and the Westboro Baptist Church with their display of signs that had negative messages towards the military and towards homosexuality at the funeral of Snyder's son. Facts about the case is that Albert Snyder was the father of Marine Lance Corporal Matthew Snyder, who was a U.S. Marine killed in service while in Iraq. And during the funeral for Snyder's son, the Westboro Baptist Church planned a protest where they held signs with many negative messages towards the military and towards homosexuals, including signs that read, "Thank God for dead soldiers" and "Don't pray for the USA." Some of these signs also had offensive language, such as the F slur, which is could be considered offensive to the LGBTQ plus community. The reason for this is that the Westboro Baptist Church believes that God punishes the United States for their tolerance towards homosexuality, specifically homosexuality within the U.S. military. And these beliefs led to Fred Phelps and his followers at the Westboro Baptist Church to picket at many military funerals and hold protests during military funerals. And therefore, Albert Snyder claimed that the actions of Phelps in the Westboro Baptist Church during his son's funeral led him to have severe emotional distress. The proceedings before the case went to the Supreme Court was that a jury in the United States District Court for the District of Maryland awarded Snyder a total of $10.9 million, including $10 million in compensatory damages and about $1 million in punitive damages. However, the judge then lowered the $10.9 million to $5 million. Afterwards, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals reversed the jury's verdict and ruled in favor of Phelps on the ground that Phelps' speech was protected by the First Amendment. So the issue at hand is, does the First Amendment protect the Westboro Baptist Church's right to protest at a funeral even when their actions intentionally inflicted emotional distress on the family of the deceased? The holding was that the Supreme Court affirmed that the First Amendment does protect those who organize a protest at the funeral of a member of the military from liability. The reasoning behind this is that the court considered the messages advocated by the Westboro Baptist Church as public concerns, since they were targeting broad societal issues and not the private concerns of the Snyder family. Therefore, the speech was protected by the Constitution because the Constitution protects speech on public issues. Well, the majority of the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Phelps, with the court's decision being 8-1. Justice Alito, the sole Supreme Court justice in favor of Snyder, argued that the Westboro Baptist Church's actions were not protected by the First Amendment. Justice Alito stated, "While the nation has a commitment to free and open debate, this does not constitute vicious verbal attacks like the ones made by the Westboro Baptist Church in this particular case." Justice Alito also claimed, due to the nature of the protest and its impact on a private funeral, that the actions made by the church should not be protected under the First Amendment. After the court's decision, Alito criticized the court for not adequately addressing the emotional suffering that Phelps and his followers inflicted on the Snyder family. This case established that the right to participate in controversial speech and possibly offensive speech regarding public issues is protected under the First Amendment, even when this speech could lead to emotional distress for some individuals. This case highlights the importance of protecting speech from suppression by the government and affirmed the principle that the freedom of speech is a fundamental right in the United States. The distinction between public versus private matters is also emphasized in this case, since the speech by the Westboro Baptist Church and Phelps was regarding public issues and therefore maintained protection from the government, even though the speech could be considered offensive.